Hey everyone, it's VM Campos, Magic Fan. Welcome to another budget battle box build for for you. This video will showcase Strixhaven School of Mages decks from all of the colleges in Strixhaven. This is going to be a fun budget build where I show you 5 decks, one for each of the colleges in the new set, Strixhaven School of Mages. Did you know you are contractually obligated to say the full name every single time? I'm going to show you each of these decks here in this video. The full deck list is in the description, so check there. Now each of these decks is going to have commonalities. Each of them is a 60 card build, 24 lands, the dual land of each of the colleges, and it's budget, so that means only common cards. You're going to be able to build these decks when you've bought a box or 2 of Strixhaven School of Mages cards, because you get a lot of commons when you buy a box. Obviously, if you add uncommons, rares, and mythics, the decks will be even better, but you might not have very many of them. You're going to have plenty of commons. So I think all of these decks synergize pretty well. We're going to focus on the various new mechanics and how they battle against each other. And that's what this is all about. Budget battle box build for you. Let's start off with Lorehold. The good old rock jocks. So here we have the red and white college. Now the deck also has, all of these decks have 4 of each of these cards. More of the same card makes a more consistent deck. So we've got 4 of the Lorehold Pledge Mage, 3 mana, 2/2 core Shaman. It's got first strike. And then if you Mage Craft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, this gets +1 until end of turn. So if you play one of the instants or sorceries in the deck, this becomes a 3/2 first strike. And you'll often be able to play more than one of those instants or sorceries because there's more than one of them in the deck. This will get bigger and bigger and bigger. It'll be able to take down any threat when you attack or when you block. So 4 of these. Well, speaking of instants and sorceries, how about Make Your Mark? For a single mana, either red or white mana, instantly target creature gets +1 until end of turn, and when that creature dies, this turn return it as a 3/2. So even if your Pledge Mage here has to take down a really big creature and die, you still get back a 3/2. However, the +1 and the +1 makes that into a 4/2 first strike threat instantly. So of course the full play set of 4 of them, you'll be unstoppable. Next up, the Relic Sloth. 5 mana, 4/4, it's a beast, it's got vigilance and menace. So evasion, they're gonna need 2 creatures to block you, and it's a 4/4 and it's still vigilant. So they're gonna have to double or triple block to take down this big old sloth. One of the higher end creatures, really gets the job done. 4 of them in the deck. Study Break, 2 mana instant, tap up to 2 target creatures and then learn. So your opponent's got 2 creatures, you're going in for the kill, you've got the Pledge Mage or the other creatures out there, you tap them down, the Pledge Mage gets bigger, going in for that strike, and you get to learn. All of these decks also have at least 1 or 2 learn cards, so you can go to the sideboard, and all of them use the same sideboard cards. Let's take a digression for the sideboard. Do you need to draw more cards? Then go get the Introduction to Prophecy where you scry 2, then draw a card. You can go get that out of the sideboard if you learn. Do you need to make your creatures even bigger? How about you expand their anatomy by putting 2 +1 counters on them permanent, give them vigilance, and that's only 3 mana once you learn. Are you having trouble fixing your mana on a 2-color deck? When you learn an environmental science, you can pay 2, search for any land that you want, reveal it, put it in your hand, and gain 2 life to keep you in the game. Or if things go really dire, you can have the Introduction to Annihilation. 5 mana, exile target non-land permanent, the end, it's totally gone. Goodbye Fractal, goodbye Huge Creature, goodbye whatever permanent except the land if you go get this. Yes, the opponent draws a card, but you got rid of their most annoying thing. So that's the other thing you can learn from the sideboard in all of these decks. Back to Lorehold. Yep, so you get to tap 2 creatures, learn, go get something else. Alright, how about the Dragon's Approach? 3 mana, you've got 4 of these, but a deck can have any number of these that you want. You don't really need more than the 4, because the payoff is you can go get a dragon. Spoiler alert, there really aren't dragons in this deck, but that's one way for you to upgrade it. Tell me how you'd upgrade it below in the comments. Anyway, it deals 3 damage to each opponent. That's the main thing we're trying to do. 3 mana, deal 3 to the opponent. It enables Magecraft. Change up the deck if you want it to focus on dragons. Combat Professor, 4 mana, it's a 2/3, it's a bird cleric, it's got flying. At the beginning of your combat, put a +1 on a creature and give it vigilance. To itself, you get a 3/3 flying vigilance, amazing, or to your other creatures, give them that +1 and vigilance. I love it. Heated Debate, 3 mana, instant, this spell cannot be countered, and it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. So imagine using this to fry the opponent's last blocker, attacking with your creatures, going in for the kill. Pillar Drop Rescuer, 5 mana, it's a 2/2, it's got flying, and it lets you bring back from the graveyard any creature with a mana value of 3 or less back to your hand to keep them coming back over and over. Tome Shredder, 3 mana, 2/2, it's a wolf, it's got haste so it can attack right away, or tap it to exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard and it gets +1. You're going to be using up your instants and sorceries, you might as well get them shredded by the Tome Shredder, make this little doggy even bigger. Good girl, Mila. And as I said, the land base for all of them, it's the same. You've got to have 24 lands, so 10 lands, and then the 4 lands of that particular college. So they all tap for 2, they come in tapped, then later you can scry. So all of them are going to have the same sort of mana base. If you can get the nice foil lands, that'll be even more impressive that you really rep the college. And some of these look pretty amazing. So 24 lands in the 2 colors, and that is the Lorehold deck. Ah, those rock jocks. Next up, let's talk about the Quandrix Math Whizzes. So, all of the decks also basically have the appropriate Pledge Mage because they really synergize in the deck. So 4 of these Quandrix Pledge Mages, 3 mana, Merfolk Druid, it's a 2/2, Magecraft. Every time you cast a spell, this gets a +1 counter permanently. So as the art shows you here, your Merfolk will get bigger and bigger and bigger. Biomathematician, 3 mana, 2/2, human wizard. When this enters, create a fractal, and then put a +1 counter on each fractal you control. So if you've got a lot of fractal action happening, all of these fractals will get bigger and bigger as you summon one of your 4 biomathematicians. Speaking of fractals, how about a fractal summoning? Green or blue plus green or blue and X. It's a lesson. Create a 0/0 green and blue fractal token, put X +1s. So once you've got lots of mana, you can make a huge fractal, which will get even huger with your Biomathematician, and with 4 of these also sorceries enabling Magecraft, you have more shenanigans going off. Field Trip, 3 mana, sorcery, search your library for a basic forest, card, put into the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. That'll help you ramp it to getting bigger fractals. Plus you learn, go to that sideboard, go get that colorless card that you need to deal with various problems. Big Play, 2 mana, instant, combat trick. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains reach until end of turn, and put a +1 counter on it. So +3/+3, one of them is permanent, the other 2 are temporary, and you get reach instantly. Love it. Reckless Implemancer, 2 mana, 2/2, elf druid. Later on in the game you pay 5, and this doubles the power and toughness. This can get really big because that does not require a tap ability. Frost Trickster, I love this one. 3 mana, bird wizard, 2/2 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, tap down your opponent's creature, and it doesn't untap for 1 turn. Really mess with them for you to go in and strike with your own creatures. Arcane Subtraction, some more combat tricks. 2 mana, instant, target creature gets -4, and then you learn. So you weaken their creature when they least suspect it, and then you go learn for something. Curate, 2 mana. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put any of them into your library and the rest at the top in any order, and then draw a card instantly. Do it at your opponent's end step for maximum amazingness. And then the lands. Once again, it's 24 lands. You want some cool foil lands to really show off, and then the dual land of the appropriate college, and then you've got your 60-card deck in Quandrix. You can really show off your math skills there. Next up, the Art Club with Prismari. Prismari Pledge Mage, this card is amazing. Don't sleep on this card. 2 mana for a 3/3 with Defender. Magecraft will then let it attack as if it didn't have Defender. This common card can be a big pain for your opponent with the various spells we have in the deck. So 4 of these, of course. MtGArena Battle Seer, 5 mana, 3/4. It's got haste, so you attack right away with the 3/4, or you scry to see what's coming later in the game. Elemental Summoning, 5 mana. It's a sorcery, so it triggers your Pledge Mage. And then you also create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. That's a big one. Waterfall Aerialist, 4 mana. It's a Djinn Wizard. It's a 3/1. It's got flying and ward 2. If the opponent is going to target this with a spell or ability, they have to pay 2 extra. Now, the opponent can still attempt to target it, try to play their spell. It's going to try to resolve. They don't have the extra mana. It gets automatically countered, basically. So 3/1 flying is great. Soothsayer Adept, 2 mana. It's a 1/3. Pay 1 and a blue, tap it, draw a card, and discard. So once you've got bad draws like too much land, use your Soothsayer, filter those things out for better things. Bury in Books, nice combat trick. 5 mana to put a creature on top of its owner's library second from the top. Now even better, you get a cost reduction of 2, so only 2 mana, if the opponent's creature is attacking you. Send it back to study a little bit more. First Day of Class, 2 mana, instant. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control this turn, put a +1 counter on it, and it gains haste until end of turn. So 2 mana, next creature that appears gets stronger, and haste, and you get to learn to go get things from the sideboard. Enthusiastic Study, I love this. 3 mana, creature gets +3/+1 and gains trample. Again, imagine that Pledge Mage is a 3/3. No, actually now it's a 6/4 with trample, and you get to learn. Look how she's running off with those books, just like me. Next up, Sudden Breakthrough, 2 mana, instant. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains First Strike until end of turn, and you create a treasure, which is more mana. More mana is more good. Again, with your flyer, with your Pledge Mage, you're making it bigger and better for only 2 mana, instantly. And then all of the lands are the same as before, 10 islands, 10 mountains, and then 4 of the Prismari campuses. And then you will be accepted to Prismari and join the art club. Next up, let's hang out with the Swamp Punks of Witherbloom. Starting off with the Witherbloom Pledge Mage, 5 mana, 5/5, Treefolk Warlock, Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you gain 1 life. So there's a life aspect to this deck. So 4 of these, of course. Pest Summoning, this will trigger that Magecraft, 3 mana, to create 2 pests, which are 1/1 black and green tokens, that when they die, you gain 1 life. Look at how cute those are. Blood Researcher, 3 mana, 2/2, it's got Menace, it's got to be double blocked. And whenever you gain life, put a +1 counter on Blood Researcher. Ooh, those pests gain you life plus other things here. Well, that means that this Researcher is going to get bigger and bigger. And it's got Menace. Leech Fanatic, 2 mana, 2/2. When it's your turn, it's got lifelink. When it's not your turn, it doesn't have lifelink. So no problem, just attack on your turn to gain that life to trigger other things. Spectre of the Fens, 4 mana, it's a Spectre, it's 2/3, it's flying. Pay 6 mana as many times as you want, as much mana as you have. Target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So that good old drain strategy. Hunt for Specimens, 2 mana, sorcery, create 1 pest, and you also learn. So go to your sideboard and get one of those lessons. Professor of Zoomancy, probably the cutest card in all of the set. 4 mana, it's a 4/3, and when it enters the battlefield, it creates a pest. So 2 creatures for the price of 1. And I do have to say that this is the cutest card, but it's also the worst flavor text ever. She's brilliant, if a bit overbearing. Mage Duel, 3 mana, sorcery. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you've cast another instant or sorcery spell this turn. And what do you get? Your creature gets +1/+2 until end of turn, and then it fights one of the opponent's creatures, removing them from the battlefield and then giving your creature more of the ability to attack. Did someone say Bayou Graf? 2 mana for a 5/4, what's the downside for this plant dog? Well, as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature or pay 3. So sacrifice a pest to get a 5/4, or if you don't have sacrificial creatures, simply play 3 more. 5 mana for a 5/4, not too bad. 2 mana for pest sacrification is even better. 4 of those. And then again, the lands are 10 swamps, 10 forests, and then the 4 Witherbloom campuses. Campusi? What's the plural for campuses? Yeah, campuses, right? Anyway, Swamp Punks, Witherbloom, yep, cool. And lastly, the best college of all, sorry, no bias here, Silverquil, the debate duelists. We're so trendy. Anyway, we got the Silverquil Pledge Mage, 3 mana. It's a 3/1 Vampire Cleric. It's got Magecraft, which then you can choose either Lifelink or Flying until end of turn. 3 damage in the air is no joke when you Magecraft. Exhilarating Elocution. Here's a way to trigger Magecraft. Watch this. 4 mana, sorcery, put 2 +1 counters on target creature you control, and then other creatures you control get +1 until end of turn. This is one of these, like, I win the game spells once you've built up a good board, and you've got this Pledge Mage to fly over everything, doing 5 damage in the air, and all your other creatures get that +1. I love getting exhilaratingly electrocuted. Rise of Extus. 6 mana, sorcery, exile target creature. Get rid of that creature forever. Exile, no graveyard shenanigans. And exile up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard, so they can't recycle it. And then learn. Go to the sideboard and get something else that's necessary. Amazing art by Wiley Beckert. Side note, my favorite modern Magic artists at the moment are Seb McKinnon, Wiley Beckert, and Kaya Folio. Eager First Year, 2 mana, 2/2, Human Wizard, Magecraft, +1 until end of turn. You can do more than 1 spell at a time to make this Eager First Year even more eagerer with more +1s. Star Pupil, a single white mana for a 0/0 that comes in with a +1 counter, and when it dies, move the counter elsewhere, perhaps to your flyer, perhaps to your other cadet. The possibilities are endless. Guiding Voice, here's another thing that'll trigger Magecraft. When a single white mana, sorcery, put a +1 counter on a creature and then learn. Professor's Warning, another single mana, this one's in black, instant, put a +1 counter on a creature, that's permanent, or target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. So save one of your creatures or make yours stronger. Arrogant Poet, such as one of these low toughness creatures. It's a 2 mana, 2/1, and whenever it attacks, you may pay 2 life, and if you do, it gains flying. So obviously it'll work better once this has got a stronger attack rather than simply 2, because you're also going to be damaging yourself in a sense. Mage Hunter's Onslaught, 4 mana, destroy target creature or planeswalker, and whenever a creature blocks this turn, its controller loses 1 life. So you might have destroyed one of their creatures, they have 1 blocker left, they block with it, they still lose a life during the attack. And then the deck is full of, again, the appropriate colors of the college, 10 of one color, 10 of the other, then the campuses, and of course you've got to get the foil lands. You must be stylish when you're in Silverquil. And there you go, that is my Strixhaven budget battle box build for you. What do you think? How would you improve these decks? What about some uncommons and rares? How would you add them to the deck? Tell me all about it in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, consider pressing the join button here in YouTube to pledge 99 cents to help me out, to keep me funded, to keep me motivated. Or head over to the Patreon, patreon.com/VMCampos if you want to pledge there. Join the VMC crew. You get exclusive stuff, longer videos, videos that are not available to other people, exclusive content, contests and giveaways just for you. Join at the Mars Rover tier, 99 cents a month to join the VMC crew. Perhaps go up to the Jupiter Cruiser tier, $2.99 a month to unlock more stuff. To earn a shout out in a video, put your logo up on the screen and such. Or you go to the Neptune Colony, $4.99 a month to get swag, real life magic cards that I will send you. In thanks for joining the VMC crew. If you can't quite pledge at the moment, no worries. Simply like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell, battle the Minotaur, all of that stuff. Really helps me out. And also don't forget to comment below how would you improve these decks. Don't forget, check the description for the full deck lists. Also tell me which college you represent in the comments below. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you in the Biblioplex.